Minister U, Állam titkár, the prior, כבוד הרבנים, kedves barátaim, hölgyeim és uraim, I will continue in English. I'm very happy to be here today, almost 1 year after the very important conference that we did, all of us, we did together, also here in this place, regarding Nostra Aetate. And there is a continuation between the conference of last year and this conference of today. And I will talk a little bit about this continuation and the contact between Nostra Aetate and dialogue between faith, between religions. Ever since the history, one can remember the desire to have an understanding between the various religions has been there, but yet it is relatively new. Throughout the history, you remember the very difficult relations between different religions, between Jews and Muslims, the Crusaders, the Christian missionaries, etc., and the call for jihad against the infidels. Looks to me that in the humankind, there are many issues, many incidents in which religious belief has more power not to unite, but to put differences between people and between religions. Religious belief has the tendency not to unite, and this is the biggest obstacle all of us, different religions, must overcome. There have been many attempts to strive to bring about understanding between religion, the different religions. This is, as I said, relatively new, but this is also a kind of reaction to the feeling which says that the religion has the potential, which must be contained, of driving us apart from each other. This desire for understanding and bringing the religious together through a dialogue is based on the acknowledgement that all monotheistic religions are having something in common. Something in common which is based on basic principles, positive principles, which attribute, which touch the human nature and his connection to God, to his God. And this is better to have what brings us together, common denominators, than to live to one religion, to interpret everything which belongs to the divine truth. In the 20th century, there is more and more understanding to what Swami Vivekananda said in 1893. This guy, this person, this leader, he is one of the pioneers of the interfaith religion movement, said, among other things, in 1893, there is no intention that the Christian become a Hindu or Buddhist. This is not a question that those will become Christians. But every religion must absorb the spirit of other religions, and together with this, to preserve its uniqueness. Divine purity and charity are not the exclusive components of any church or any religion in the world. So this is, basically, in a nutshell, the principle of dialogue between the religions. Now, looking after the common denominator between the world religion is something which has an impact not only on the person as such, but also on the society altogether. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most important examples of a dialogue, of a fruitful dialogue, is, to my humble opinion, is the Nostra Aetate. The relations today between the Catholic Church and the Jewish people has been transformed positively. We have to congratulate it. The Nostra Aetate, 50 years ago, the declaration, which is known as Nostra Aetate, is a groundbreaking decision by the Catholic Church regarding its relations and attitude toward the Jewish people. This change includes, among other things, the abolition of the so-called the teaching of contempt against the Jewish people. And here in this very distinguished audience, I don't have to explain the meaning of the abolishment of this teaching of contempt vis-à-vis the Jewish people. Still, this principle in which the Jews are to be blamed for the crucifixion of Jesus hasn't been disappeared altogether, not yet. What are 45 or 50 years in the history of mankind? And I'm talking about the 50 years which have passed after the declaration has been adopted by the Second Vatican Council. The influence of this change of the relation between the Catholic Church and the Jews is different from one place to the other. If you take, for example, the United States, the interfaith dialogue in the United States is much more advanced than in other places in the world, including Europe. And this has to be attributed to social elements, education, and also political attitudes. As I said, the United States is one of the leading examples of the interfaith dialogue based on the implementation and the understanding and implementation of the Nostra Aetate. In Europe, in which Catholicism is still a very important element in the social life, there are priests, Christians, common people, leaders of the community who do not know about the Nostra Aetate and its application. I must tell you that from time to time when I talk to people about this, I make a small test. And I mentioned, en passant, nonchalant Nostra Aetate, and I'm looking at my partner or partnerate to see what is the reaction. Most of the time, I'm sorry to say, is that there is no reaction. They don't know what I'm talking about. Then I have to stop, open brackets, and to explain. It means that even though the dialogue between the Catholic Church, the Jewish religion, between people, even though in this regard we have seen a development, I wouldn't qualify it as a big or small, the fact of the matter that there are very, very, very few people, relatively few people, who knows about contemporary Judaism and contemporary Israel, not to mention this. And of course, they don't know, as I said, about Nostra Aetate and the documents and the instruction coming from Vatican regarding the implementation of the principle in the Nostra Aetate. I must admit that also in our world, in the Jewish world, there are relatively few people who are dealing with this interfaith dialogue and are reaching out for the Christian community in order to understand, in order to have this constructive dialogue, in order to elaborate, in order to know what is the other religion, and to find, and to look for, and of course to find common denominators between the two biggest monotheistic, one of three biggest monotheistic religions. But maybe, and here is part of me being an optimistic person as a principle, maybe this document, the Nostra Aetate, has changed, after all, the dialogue of all levels. My hope is that if nowadays, if few years ago, 50 years ago, 25 years ago, a kid has been asked about what is the Jewish people, and his automatic reaction was, those people are responsible for the killing of Lord. I hope, and you know, the hope is always the last one to die. My hope is that nowadays, the children who are part of the education system but not only children, also grown-ups, students, young people, and of course adults, will answer this question, what is the Jewish people? Not by saying that they are responsible for the crucifixion of Jesus, but they are the chosen one, they are the people of Jesus. I hope that, I very much hope that this change, even though a small one, which happened after the declaration of Nostra Aetate, the Jews will be again not be seen as the murderers of God, and the teacher of contempt will not exist anymore. This transformation, if it happens, and as I said, I hope it will, won't be full if this change of view regarding the Jewish people within the Christian and the Catholic Church will not be part of the daily discourse of the Christian. And I think that what I said a year ago regarding Nostra Aetate should be repeated here. A new era was ushered in by Nostra Aetate, by its message of a healing process, and the stunning transformation in Catholic-Jewish relations has not yet been internalized universally. This is a long process. I always describe it as a marathon, not a sprint. This actually, 50 years has already only begun. There is a lot of work to do. There is a long way to go until we understand the full meaning, the theological full meaning of the Nostra Aetate. A year ago, ladies and gentlemen, here in this place, in this very nice abbey, I said the following, and I would like to quote from my word at that time, which I do believe are relevant also for this today's conference. The inspiring fruit of Nostra Aetate's historic transformation call on us to work together for the betterment of our world at large. It is here, ladies and gentlemen, that the role of education is so important. Only through education can we continue our common mission of planting the seeds of tolerance and uprooting the weeds of fanaticism. Among the challenges we all face is the challenge to achieve stronger cooperation in combating anti-Semitism and the threats of radical Islam by creating a realistic, universal program of education, supported not only by the Catholic and the Jewish communities, but also by governments, focusing on the spirit and the message of Nostra Aetate, on the unique importance of the State of Israel in Jewish identity, on modern state Israel behind the holy sites and the Middle East conflict. It is also important to educate Jewish people on the new approach of the Catholic Church towards Judaism. There is no doubt in my mind that this conference, also today, is an important step in this direction. And I said also this, and allow me to quote myself, ladies and gentlemen, dialogue is good and important, but we must also be active. We should echo the messages of Nostra Aetate. The messages should be learned and discussed in schools and at universities, in the churches, at Sunday sermons, during family gathering, and by politicians. Ladies and gentlemen, this message of mine for last year has been adopted. The seed of my message has been planted and spurred, and I would like to address myself to one very relevant issue to our conference topic, which is a dialogue between religions. And this seed is the decision of the Catholic Church to introduce a compulsory course on the issue of the Holocaust starting the next academic year at the university for all 5 departments at the university. I would like to congratulate this unilateral, important decision by the rector of the university. I think this decision of his is a courageous decision. It's a groundbreaking decision. And the decision shows that what we had last year, the 70th anniversary of the Holocaust, this conference of the Nostra Aetate, the change in the national curriculum, all of this are part of a dialogue, even though we are not doing it on a daily basis. This is part of an ongoing dialogue in order to educate ourselves from both sides. This is a decision by the university which contributes positively and in a very dramatic way to the process in which the Hungarian society deals with its past without any discount. I think that the controversy which we hear nowadays in the media around this decision shows or is testimony for a very healthy process of the Hungarian community to deal with controversial issues, and especially this shows that the need for this course is there, it's long overdue. I think that the issue of dealing with the past, dealing with the Holocaust, dealing with anti-Semitism, the issues of human rights and discrimination and racism should not be entirely in the hands of the politicians. I think also the academia should put its part of it, and the Catholic University is definitely contributing positively to the issue of dealing with these issues which are chronics. Anti-Semitism is a chronic disease. Racism is a chronic disease. We have to contain them. And as I said at the beginning, the main way to do it is education. Education starts at home. The children are being guided by their own GPS, the parents, and goes all the way up to the university. And again, I congratulate the Catholic University for its decision. Ladies and gentlemen, the motto of today's conference is, and I quote, "Show me your ways, Lord, teach me your path." Tehillim 25:4. To my humble opinion, ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt in my mind that Rector Shuami, the rector of the Catholic University, learned and understood the Lord's way. Let us hope that Nostra Aetate, this decision of the Catholic University, this dialogue, will continue to plant the seeds of tolerance and uprooting the weeds of fanaticism. Köszönöm szépen, shalom.